It's true, Shawn.
What are you talking about? What's true?
All of it. You you know all of it. You know it.
So where can I find this truth
On the Pod Bros network because this is a Pod Bros exclusive.
Did you just want to act like Han Solo again?
You know, doing a promotional spot isn't like dusting crops, boy. What's up, everybody? I'm Richard.
And I'm Shawn.
And we're speaking the language of bromance. Shawn, we haven't done this for a while. I need to talk about comic books. And not just comic books, but comic book heroes. And not just comic book heroes, but comic book hero movies.
With heroes versus heroes. A civil war of heroes.
Oh, yes.
It's been a bit since we've talked any kind of nerdy comic book stuff, so
I know, and I've been feeling that itch. It's been like a I mean, I don't know how crack addicts act. Like I know they itch their neck a lot. I don't know everything I know about crack smoking I learned from Chappelle's show. Tyrone Biggins, that's my entire education on the way crack addicts behave.
I'm here for the crack party.
But yeah, speaking of crack habit, like these Marvel movies have become my fucking crack habit. Because I went to so the movie opened Friday. I went to a Thursday night show. So obviously I needed my fix because it'd been a minute. Like last time we had a Marvel movie was last May, right? Like it was Avengers, Age of Ultron, right?
Ant-Man. Ant-Man came out.
Oh, Ant-Man.
Yeah, like October-ish, November.
I forgot about Ant-Man. I was kind of iffy on Ant-Man. Like it was good, but for some it didn't I don't know, for some reason fulfill my fix. Like it gave me that temp high, but I was like, oh, it's Ant-Man. I was never really big on Ant-Man as a character. I mean, he gets small and talks to bugs. Like, all right, no, that's cool. But I needed my heavy hitters. And oh my God, I get them.
So you went to a Thursday show. Was yours pretty packed?
Yeah, actually it was. I would say it was probably 80% full, 85% full.
Yeah, we went on a Wednesday night. So the Wednesday after it came out, it was probably about half full, which Wednesdays is usually pretty dead anyway, so.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that this movie it's not going to see that gigantic drop off that Batman v Superman had. And there you go. There's the first comparison we're making when it comes between Civil War and Batman v Superman. The first of many, I assume, we're going to have.
I guess we'll go ahead and throw out a spoilers right now. We'll probably talk about some other stuff later. So check at the 30-second mark, and we'll say if we're still at spoilers or not. But, I mean, we'll probably spoil Batman v Superman and this. They've been out for a while. So obviously, you've probably already seen them if you're going to see them.
Yeah, I think yeah, exactly. If you haven't seen them and you want to see them, like where have you been? Like you can't have that. Your life is not that important. Obviously, it's not that important. You're sitting here listening to us.
Yeah, good point. So, starting out opening up, did you get the Doctor Strange trailer?
I did get the Doctor Strange trailer. I had seen it. I think they released it like a week? Like I think a week or maybe 2 weeks before it came out.
Yeah, something like that.
And I mean, come on.
That looks
movie all of a sudden I was like, holy shit, it's Inception starring Benedict Cumberbatch.
Well, that's what I like about this, because Marvel, and I'm going to kind of mention this, I don't know if, because we texted after I saw this, and Civil War I was kind of meh on.
You was. And he texted me and he said, just saw Civil War, feeling kind of meh. And I think my response was, what are you talking about? So I was very, very satisfied with this movie. Shawn, not so much.
Well, I think I feel like so this kind of goes with what I want to mention with Doctor Strange, is I kind of feel like superhero fatigued. And I was talking with some people today. It's like, I don't want to be the guy to be like, man, I'm tired of superhero movies. That's all they show.
Yeah. Yeah, don't be that guy.
Because 20 years from now, we're going to look back and be like, man, do you remember that run of superhero movies and how awesome that was?
Right? I mean, you gotta, like, come 20 years from the other direction when the best superhero movie you got was, they made a Captain America movie back in, oh shit.
Was it like 1990?
Yeah, I was gonna say it was like very early 90s, and it was hard. It was hard to watch.
They had a TV show too at one point, didn't they?
Shit, I don't remember.
I thought there was, maybe not.
Oh, it was brutal. It was pretty brutal.
But like you see, like they're constantly putting out, like, you got these new movies coming down the line. But then you see that Doctor Strange trailer, and that feels like Guardians of the Galaxy. It's something completely different from what you've seen. And so I'm pretty pumped for that because again, it's different.
And you know what? This is the thing that I have said time and time again is the fact that I feel that Marvel is making genre pictures, but they're putting superheroes into them. And I think that's why people find them so refreshing, because everybody's expecting a comic book superhero movie, like a comic book superhero movie, but that's not what you get. You get some genre picture and then it's got superheroes in it. So it kind of I feel like it turns the notion of a comic book movie on its head and also tweaks the notion of whatever genre pick they're doing.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Winter Soldier, can we not? Winter Soldier to me was a Jason Bourne movie with Captain America in it.
Yeah. It was like a spy movie.
It was a spy movie. He's kind of sneaking around. He doesn't know who to trust. There's some, very up close, in your face fucking fist fights with just guys. It's Captain America, sure, but I mean, it's just guys he's fighting. And Guardians of the Galaxy was your science fiction fantasy movie.
How was your Firefly flick?
I would say, yeah. I mean, I would say kind of like Firefly. I kind of put it in my head as more like a comic book version. I know it sounds stupid, but a comic book version of Star Wars, where it has these very fantastic elements, like a talking raccoon and a giant fucking tree, and and all these spaceships flying around. It was a science fiction fantasy. All these different alien races and, blah, 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 blah. Thor, I would kind of peg like on the lines of a, almost like a Shakespearean play.
Yeah.
Everybody's very, and oh, Loki, how, you know what I mean?
Yeah. What was the recent, like, Roman gods movie?
Oh, that was it Gods of Egypt?
No, not Gods of Egypt. That was a terrible movie.
That was a terrible movie.
It's the one where they follow like Haiti and all that, where it's basically the story where the dude goes and fights Medusa and all that stuff.
Oh, those Percy Jackson movies?
No, I can't remember what it was. There's basically a movie where they kind of do like more of the Roman Greek mythology, and that's kind of what I'd consider Thor, almost borderline Greek mythology.
Yeah.
And then you have this movie, Civil War, which I think was compared very closely to like the Manchurian Candidate.
Yeah, I've heard that comparison. I think that's kind of simple though to say, because I mean, I think that when the Manchurian Candidate, I think that describes just kind of one facet of this movie.
Yeah.
Because, and here we go, we're digging into spoiler territory now, but it's you have the Winter Soldier who apparently is all fine and happy-go-lucky until, his trigger is activated, and then he's, crazy, psychotic killer guy.
Yeah. So I guess, starting out, that was kind of my first complaint about this movie. So you get the opening scene where you see what his trigger is, and then you see him go, and he rides this motorcycle, makes this car crash, and you assume that he kills whoever's in there to steal some stuff.
Right.
And so
he opens up the trunk and takes some stuff, and and then he's off into the night.
Yeah, I mean that alone, I probably wouldn't have gave it a second thought. But the very next scene after the credits and everything run, they show Iron Man going through this whole new VR thing that he's created, where he's basically going through the last time he saw his parents. And so instantly that triggered in my head. I'm like, I bet he killed his parents.
See, that totally blew right. You're a much more perceptive person than I am, because that totally just whizzed right through my brain. It blew right by me, and when we got to the end, totally didn't see that one coming.
Yeah, and see, that's what screwed it up. I mean, I was expecting, they had those other soldiers in that ice thing that they killed, so I was expecting them to come to life. But, as he's like showing this video from 1991, I'm like, okay, before they even showed it, I'm like, yep, that's what it is. He killed his parents, and now we're going to have the conflict, and they're going to fight, yada, yada, yada. And so that kind of ruined it for me.
See, I think to me, honestly, I think that's what killed it for you.
Yeah, definitely.
The movie's kind of, the whole momentum of the movie is building up to Cap and the Winter Soldier going to this, installation in fucking Siberia, and they're going to fight these other super soldiers that are going to, wake up from their cryo sleep and basically, wreak havoc on the world. It's, the whole movie seems to be rolling into that. And the conflict between Tony and Steve kind of falls back into the back burner. Kind of, it cools off to the point where he shows up. He shows up in Siberia, and he's like, okay, I see what you're trying to do. I'm here. I'm totally, I'm your line of thinking and my line of thinking are in sync now. Like, we're cool. And so in your head, you're like, okay, like, so they overcome their differences, and they're all coming together to take out Zemo and his, super soldier killer squad. Like, the whole movie is building to that point. And then for the audience, that entire rug is yanked out from underneath you, because you walk in there as the audience, you walk into that room, and the super soldiers are dead. And you're like, what? But isn't this supposed to be? And then you see the video, and that honestly, once you start seeing the video, that's when it clicked for me, and I was like, oh my God. It wasn't about this at all. It was, oh no. Because it's in that moment that, like I said, you're still kind of off your equilibrium, because that what you thought was going to happen isn't, and then this happens instead, and in your head you're dealing with the ramifications of that. You're like, oh my God, nothing's going to be the same.
Yeah, I think going into it, if I would have missed that in the very beginning and didn't make that connection, because did you ever go back to that 1991 at all? Like when the guy kept asking, mission report 1991. Did you have any? Okay. So
no, it totally, like I said, just totally zipped right past me.
And I think if I didn't catch that, I think it would have been better. Like you would have had like, oh shit, that's what's happening. Because he delivers a great line when Cap's like, it wasn't him. And Iron Man's like, I don't care, that son of a bitch killed my mom.
Yeah.
Like that did give me a little bit of chills. And that fight was awesome. And again, this is where
and in the entire movie, are you not going, why is Tony being such an ass?
I mean, at which part?
Well, I'm just saying, like, throughout the film, you can't really side with, like, the way I was, like, throughout the whole film, like, I couldn't really get on Tony's side.
I mean, I could see both sides of it. I mean,
I could see it, but I think that I couldn't see why he was, I couldn't sympathize with him. I couldn't empathize with him in this course of thinking. But when we get to that moment and he's going after the Winter Soldier, like that's when I as an audience member was going, well, I mean, like Cap kind of did this. I mean, that's not really cool. Like Cap didn't tell him, and he knew, and he didn't tell him.
And that's kind of interesting because I don't know how he figured out that that Bucky killed his Tony Stark's parents. Like, you don't really figure out how that happens. He just knows. So that kind of seemed like, oh, okay, well, yeah, he did know. So we can make it a little bit more conflicting. Because I mean, if I mean, I could buy it, I guess, because if you knew that your best friend had killed your friend's parents, you wouldn't want to tell him.
Right.
Because it's going to cause conflict between you two.
You wouldn't want to tell. Yeah, I wouldn't want to. If a friend of mine had killed your parents, I would not tell you. I'm sorry.
Well, you should, because then maybe I'll become a superhero.
Or if you killed one of my other friends' parents, I wouldn't tell them that you did it.
Because nothing's good's going to come from that.
No, of course it isn't. But in that moment, don't you kind of flip a little bit onto Tony and go like, what the fuck, Steve?
I mean, you put yourself in Tony Stark's shoes. Like, I'd be the same way. I've got this superpowered suit. I don't care if he's not the person. He's the one who did it. I'm going to kill him.
Yeah, I understand that, blah, blah, blah. You were the Manchurian Candidate, but fuck you.
Yeah.
Like you did it.
Eye for an eye.
And if it gives me any sort of peace whatsoever, like, I'm taking it, and I'm taking it with both fucking hands.
And going on to about, so the whole thing about this scenario where I'm like, okay, so I know why they're going to start fighting now. But this is what I hate about trailers, because we saw them fighting in some kind of closed space. We saw that good fight between Captain America, Bucky, and Iron Man.
Yeah, you see it.
And we hadn't seen up that point. So like right away I know that something bad's going to happen too, because they get to this, winter place, and Iron Man's walking through. He's like, listen, I'm on your side now. I'm like, well, for a bit, but something's going to happen and you're going to start fighting. I've seen this in the trailer.
Yeah,
so
but
I know it's going to happen.
Honestly, you could have, 10 things you could attribute that to. Like, maybe Scarlet Witch put some sort of some sort of mojo on him. And then, I didn't think it was that.
Yeah, but I saw the writing on the wall, so I'm like, okay, they're going to expose that Winter Soldier killed his parents. Like, I kind of knew that's what was going to happen.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming at all. And the second that the second it hit me and the realization happens in my brain, it's the thought that, oh my God, everything's going to be different.
Yeah.
Like, how the fuck are the other movies going to go? Because there's damage now that can't be repaired.
Well, yeah, because right now Cap's not Cap. He's just a dude out, in Wakanda hanging out. Falcon's still Falcon, I guess.
Well, technically they are who they are, but they're not.
Well, Cap doesn't have his shield anymore. He left it.
Yeah, there's a split. There is a definite split, and I don't know how that's. It seems like, the only way that's going to get fixed is when we get to Avengers Infinity War, when something so terrible happens that that's the only way they
well, you have like this god coming down basically, and that's going to bring them all together. So, and I really hope that they address this in the beginning of Infinity Wars. I hope this isn't one of those scenarios where, because it's like Iron Man 3, he blows up all of his suits, right? We never really understand why he gets his suits back. We kind of get a little bit in this. There's a little throwaway line where he talks about how, he blew up all of his suits for Pepper, but then the whole Avengers thing started taking off, so he built more suits because he couldn't quit, because he didn't want to quit. But we didn't really see that in Age of Ultron or anything, so that kind of felt like another throwaway line of, oh, well, let's explain why he's like this. It's not because we can't get Pepper Potts back anymore, because she's out of contract. It's because, he can't stop doing this thing he's doing.
Well, and I think that, if we're talking about Tony, I think one of the other things is, and you kind of see it in Iron Man 2. No, not 2. In Iron Man 3, like, I would say that he's definitely suffering from PTSD. Still.
Yeah, in that one I would say.
And I think that's a huge motivator for him. And that's why he keeps making everything terrible. Everything bad that's happened so far on a global scale in the Marvel Universe has been his fault.
Yeah, I saw something where they're talking about, it was a cartoon where Tony's like, listen, we're too destructive. We need to be controlled. And it's like, let's see. You remember that space thing? Yeah, you created that. Oh.
Yeah.
Well, what about that other country thing? Well, yeah, you created Ultron. Oh, it's like maybe you need to be in check, Tony, not us.
We're fine. We're all fine here. I mean, the only thing, when they show in the very first, maybe 30 minutes of the movie, they're showing bits of New York. They show, they're showing like some of the damage from New York. They're showing some of the damage from Sokovia. They're showing some of the damage and the only thing that wasn't directly or indirectly Tony's fault was the stuff that happened in Winter Soldier.
Yeah, there was that, and then what happened in that other country where they're trying to fight Crossbones.
Oh yeah, in the first like 20 minutes.
But something else I was trying to think about too. So the whole mom thing and the whole him getting his parents killed.
Yeah.
So in comic books where DC and Marvel, DC will come out with something and Marvel copies it, and Marvel comes out with something and DC copies it.
Okay.
There's always that kind of thing.
Right.
I'm very, very curious if one or the other figured out that, they're doing something with this person's mom in this movie. We need to copy it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like because Marvel's works a lot better than I would say that the Batman v Superman did, because the whole Martha thing, in the moment I kind of went with it and kind of got emotional, but coming back around and realizing it's like, oh, your mom's named Martha. My mom's named Martha.
No, okay, in that respect, when they did that in Batman v Superman, it totally had the opposite effect. It pulled me completely out of the movie.
Okay.
Like in that moment, that's where I'm going like, what? That's why they're friends now? That makes little, like, I was holding on as long as I could, guys, but like I can kind of buy the reason, like you kind of buy the reason why they start fighting. Like I think Batman makes a very compelling case for why he doesn't like Superman to start off.
Oh yeah, I can buy that completely.
It's totally believable. But the reason they stop, like that just like, I'm sorry, they didn't earn that. I felt like it wasn't earned. Now, if we're going to flip that, by the time we get to the point where Cap and Iron Man are swapping blows, like they earn that. They earn that moment. Like there is a buildup and a logical progression of steps that leads to that moment. And when they finally get there, it's earned. Like that's how I felt. Like I felt like I totally bought the reason why they started punching each other. Because you're talking about guys that are best friends.
And that's kind of why I feel like somehow DC figured out Marvel was doing this kind of, family, mom, dad were killed type scenario. And so they try to fit that into the Batman v Superman. Like, all right, well, how can we kind of do something similar? Maybe not. Maybe it's a completely coincidence, but.
Well, I mean, you also have to figure with comic book, like, apparently the lot of being a character in a comic book is that, like, you never, like, your parents never come out on the other side of it.
Yeah, that's true.
Everybody's parents die. Spider-Man, apparently Iron Man, Batman, Black Panther.
Is there anything in the comics on Iron Man's origin like that? Like his parents died?
I know little to none about Tony Stark's parents.
Gotcha.
Like for the cinematic universe, the fact that they kind of wove Howard Stark into the Super Soldier project, I think that was new. Like that wasn't in the comic. Howard Stark didn't work on the Super Soldier project. I mean, when Captain America was first around, I mean, you're like 20 years away from them even making Iron Man.
Well, that's I do kind of like you see conflict between the two where Tony Stark is talking to Cap and is telling him like, my dad talked about you all the time, and I hated you. I hated you so much.
Yeah.
And so you kind of see like why there's always been some kind of conflict there.
Right. I mean, and I think to me that harkens back to the first Avengers movie, why there was, that initial kind of butting of heads between Tony and Steve, because I think Tony always felt like Steve was the son that Howard always wanted, but instead he got Tony.
He got the dude that wears the the Christmas hat on the couch, all drunk and passed out.
Right. Right.
So we play that out, and I mean, we're kind of jumping around on that. We're going more towards the end, the middle and beginning. But you got the great scene and great shot from the comic with Iron Man putting all of his power onto the shield.
Yes.
And they got a little slow-mo cut of that, which I thought that was pretty legit. That looked really good.
Yeah, it did.
I don't know if they did this in the comics or not, but blowing off Winter Soldier's arm, that was kind of cool.
I don't think the Winter Soldier was even in the comics.
Gotcha. The Civil War ones, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, shit. Honestly, I think the whole I can't even remember if the whole Winter Soldier thing was in any storyline before Captain America 2. I mean, it's been a minute since I've, really kind of delved into the Marvel comic universe, but when I was a kid reading comics, I never even heard of the Winter Soldier.
Gotcha. I
don't know I don't know how new that is.
I don't think it's new to the movies because I believe Bucky, as the Winter Soldier, took over as Captain America for a bit. I thought I've heard people talk about that. I could be wrong, but
well, I actually so in the comic storyline, which I was wondering if they were going to do this in the comic storyline at the end of Civil War, Cap gets shot.
Yeah.
Cap gets shot dead, and Falcon takes over. Like Falcon takes up the mantle while of Captain America.
Is that when he takes over? Or I thought Falcon was pretty new. Like it was within the last year that he took over.
No, Falcon had been around. Well, yeah, no, it was Falcon. I struggle to make definitive statements because I'm afraid that I'm gonna get like harangued on Twitter. But at the end of Civil War, Cap gets shot dead. He gets shot. I think it was Crossbones was the one that shot him. But okay, so here's another point I'd like to make is we went through an entire comic book movie about this gigantic clash between all these superheroes, and I didn't realize it until maybe like an hour later, and an hour after the movie, that was like, holy shit, nobody died.
Yeah, I was expecting somebody to die in this.
Like that movie was compelling, and that movie had real conflict, and you felt it. And at the end, you felt like there was casualty at the end of it, but it wasn't a body count. It was relationships. And it seemed like that weighed just as heavy.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely see that this is a broken group for sure.
Like even the bad guy doesn't die at the end of this.
Yeah, the only death was Crossbones, actually, in the very beginning. Which surprised me a little bit. I thought he'd be around for a while.
Crossbones was a kick-ass villain. I liked him in the Cap.
I've read the news, not the new series, but the series before of Punisher. He was one of the villains, and he seemed pretty cool.
Yeah, I liked him.
So I don't know if he's dead or if he'll come back. I don't really know. I mean, we haven't seen Red Skull yet, so he may be dead.
I would love it if they brought him back because I really like the way they did him in the movie. I like how they gave him kind of like a biker helmet with the X on it with it looked like it was like spray painted on.
Yeah.
I like that. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, the fight scene in the beginning of that was pretty cool. The opening scene with these guys I thought was really cool. Scarlet Witch again, I think is a great character. You see her a little bit more in this.
Yeah,
you see like you see her. She's a young Avenger. She's a new Avenger, and she saves.
And she's an enhanced because God forbid we could say mutant.
Yeah.
That's a story for another time.
And she saves Captain America because Crossbones was going to blow them both up. And it's like, all right, I can't hold him any longer. I got to throw him up, and blows up the building. And you see her like instantly be like, oh shit, what'd I do?
Yeah.
Why didn't you just take her to space?
And I think, and with this movie, I think they really kind of throw the weight on her. Like, hey, she has some power.
Yeah. She has power that she doesn't know how to control.
And I think she has more power than she even realizes. Like, I think out of all of these movies, it seems like she's the one that kind of has like raw power.
Yeah. Well, like Hulk is probably the most powerful, but it seems like he can kind of control it. I mean, who else is there?
It seems like he has a lot more control of it now than he did. I mean, even when we're talking about like, the first Avengers movie, you go from that to Age of Ultron, it seems like he's gotten a lot better handle on it at Age of Ultron.
Until he goes crazy, but then he realizes that that's why he disappears, which you kind of get them discussing that. They ask, do you know where Thor and Banner are? It's like, well, no. It's like, well, if I was missing a couple of nukes, you better be sure somebody would be chewing my ass about it.
Yeah. But, and I love the line, and I totally makes sense. But I do stand by the decision that they didn't need to be in this movie.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, this isn't a movie that should involve them. You're talking about gods and monsters, and
Well, it makes sense because at the end of Age of Ultron, Banner knew he was a risk, so he left. Because, I mean, could you imagine if he was involved in this fight? He would have killed some people. Like, people would have died.
Oh my God, right? Then we're talking about a body count.
But he's off somewhere. Thor is, he's worried about these Infinity Gems. He mentioned that in the last Avengers movie. He's like, listen, there's something with this. I took a bath in a hot tub with my shirt off, all sexy like, and I had a hot dream with some old professor. He was there.
I was standing in a pool of water with no shirt while an old guy stared at me, and I received a vision.
He received a vision too, all over my face. It was very inappropriate.
So I killed him and then came back here.
Hey everyone, this is Tom from the Say What Podcast, and I would love it if you'd swing over to saywhatpodcast.com to check us out as soon as you're done listening to this show. We handpick real news articles to poke fun at every week, like a lady from Florida attacking her boyfriend with a ceramic squirrel, or kids rubbing chapstick in their eyes to get high, or the guy who got arrested for repeatedly having sex with an inflatable pool shark. Yeah, I think you get the point. So tune into the Say What Podcast every Friday on iTunes, Stitcher, and at saywhatpodcast.com.
I heard, okay, in reference to the Hulk, I know we're getting off track, but in reference to the Hulk, I heard that we might be getting a Planet Hulk movie.
Yeah, I think that it's in a weird state of rights. Like, they can use him in movies, but they can't have a standalone Hulk movie. So they're trying to work out a deal with whoever has the movie rights to Hulk.
I thought we had a standalone Hulk movie.
I think it was tied to somebody else though.
Oh,
Like somebody else. I could be completely wrong, but I thought that was the big issue, was the movie rights.
Sad face. I did hear he's gonna be in Thor Ragnarok. Steering the ship back into Civil War. Okay, so the movie's not about gods and monsters. That's why you don't have Thor. That's why you don't have Hulk. It's a very intimate movie. But when it comes to the fight between these two sides, that fight at the airport scene, was that not one of the best, if not the best, comic book fucking fights you've seen in your life?
No. So parts of it were good. So, okay, my frustration with it, not really frustration, but my thoughts on it is, I kind of feel like that was like, okay, we're going to go and get all these characters so we have a 6-on-6 battle.
I'm going to preface this by saying that Shawn is the one talking, so this is where you need to direct your hate tweets towards this guy.
I mean, again, this is so first world problems. I mean, you're getting, this comic book fight, you should love it. And it was good, but
did you feel like it was that oversaturation? Did you feel like, oh my God, it's too much?
Maybe, or just like it just didn't quite make sense why they would fight. I mean, they like the end fight makes sense. Like I could see why those guys would fight. This one was more of like, we got to take Bucky. Like if we would have known that Winter Soldier had killed Tony's parents at that point, that fight would probably make sense.
But I mean, okay, yes, it's yes, when we're talking about these teams, I mean, yeah, they're teams and they're fighting. But I felt like the things that were happening to they were fighting, but it seemed like they weren't going all out. Like they
Yeah, so
weren't trying to kill the other guy.
Yeah, so this is my problem with it. It really felt like you've watched baseball before,
Right?
And you've probably only seen highlights of this, but in a baseball game, the players are getting chippy with each other, and somebody gets hit with a baseball.
Okay.
They bean somebody, and you see the benches clear. The benches don't clear to actually fight. The bench is clear, and everybody you find the guy on the other team, and you kind of walk up to them, and you kind of just start talking to them. There's some people who are really getting into it, like Iron Man and Captain America. That was kind of a real fight. But Black Widow and Hawkeye, that was more of a beanball. Hey, I got to find the guy on the other team that I know, and we're just going to chit chat while this is going on. Act like we're fighting,
right?
Because Scarlet Witch even mentioned, she's like, you're pulling your punches.
Yeah, I felt like they were all kind of pulling their punches in that.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, the only ones that didn't really seem like it was Spider-Man.
Black Panther.
Oh yeah, he was pissed.
Yeah, Black Panther. Like that was like I would say when it came to that fight, he was the one that seemed dangerous to me.
And what'd you think of Black Panther?
Liked him a lot more than I thought I would, and it kind of put me more in the mood for a Black Panther solo movie than I thought it would.
Yeah, it got me pumped for the Black Panther movie for sure. And I do love what new characters did we get in this? We got Black Panther and Spider-Man, right?
And fucking Spider-Man.
And I love how they handled both those. It wasn't a Black Panther Spider-Man origin. You kind of got sprinkled in a little bit as you go.
Oh my God. Okay. Spider-Man, I felt like was completely flawless.
Yes. Queen's accent. I caught that right away.
Queen's accent.
Aunt May. We got a sexy Aunt May. Can you believe that?
And
she looked good.
People are there was somebody at work. They were like, well, in the comics, Aunt May's old. I'm like, I don't care. It's fucking Marissa Tomei. She's 51. She looks smoking hot.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Like, why wouldn't you want that on fucking screen?
How many high school kids have an aunt that's like 60 years old?
Right?
How old's your grandparents? Like 92? But I love that they, we all know the Spider-Man backstory.
Exactly. We all know the Spider-Man backstory, so we didn't need to talk about it.
Yeah, because he says something about like, I've come to learn that, when you have these powers and you don't do something, I can't remember exactly what he says, but basically it's like, you're held responsible for it.
Well, he doesn't even talk about fucking I got bit by a radioactive spider. It was Tony sitting there like, how are you sticking to walls? You got like adhesive, and he's just like, that's a long story.
Yeah.
That's
it.
And
like he does the whole Uncle Ben backstory by saying that whole like, when you have these powers and responsibilities, you don't do anything, you're kind of held responsible for that. That's he's responsible because he feels like he should have saved Uncle Ben, but he didn't.
Exactly. We didn't need to see Uncle Ben get shot for the third time.
Yeah, exactly. And I really hope, in the new one they do, the new Spider-Man movie, you could maybe do a little bit of that, like flashbacks, but like quick flashbacks, not like the whole origin 10-minute, this is what happened.
Yeah, I guess if they really want to, but I don't think they even need it. Like, I don't need it.
And they'll do fan service if they don't, because people will talk in that Spider-Man movie. If they don't show all that specifically, like they maybe just mention it, they're going to get more fan service than showing it, because nobody needs to see it.
Exactly. Nobody needs to see him getting bitten by a spider. Nobody needs to see him. Nobody needs to see Uncle Ben getting shot. Like, we get it, and I feel like now that, and I don't know. This is just my guess, but the fact that they've now introduced Spider-Man into the cinematic universe, that they're not going to go back. Like, they're only going to head forward. Like, I don't think we're going to get I really think that this Spider-Man movie is not going to be the origin story rehash for the umpteenth time.
No, and the only thing they could do that would be good, I know in like the new Hulk movie, the standalone, they did the whole origin story in the opening credits. You could probably do that if you really wanted to.
Kind of like how they did in Batman v Superman, where you see Bruce,
and
Thomas, and Martha getting shot.
But even that was a whole scene. With the Spider-Man, they could do it just like pictures of, because in the old Hulk they basically did like pictures.
Oh, I see.
You saw like 2 seconds of him going into a chamber, 2 seconds of him becoming the Hulk. 2 seconds of him freaking out, like quick shots of that.
Right.
I mean, if
right.
you really, really wanted to show it, you could do it that way. But them getting to fight was kind of, I felt like it was just getting the people together to fight. It didn't make a ton of sense of like why it ended up that way.
Why the sides fell as they did?
Yeah, kind of the sides, and I mean, you see, Visions against them because I think they had to match up somebody with Scarlet Witch.
Yeah, I would say that like if we're talking about motivations on each side, like I get, Iron Man's got his side and Cap's got his side, and I understand. Vision was the only one that I couldn't totally buy him being where he was. Like Scarlet Witch, I get why she sided with Cap. I understand why, War Machine and Black Panther and and I get why they're there. I get why Hawkeye and Ant-Man and Falcon are with Cap. Vision was kind of, I was like, I don't really see why he's doing what he's doing. I mean, he kind of explains it. It just, it wasn't totally there for me if I'm thinking about it.
Well, I felt like that whole battle was a little bit forced. Like, they're like, okay, we're trying to stop. It's like, oh, well, I guess we have to fight. And, when they're running, Spider-Man's kind of like, it's like, they're not stopping. It's like, well, neither will we. Like, all right, well, let's get this fight underway so we can have our fight.
The whole bit, every single moment Spider-Man was on screen for me were the best parts of that movie. And I'm not saying that like, oh, this, the rest of the movie's kind of and this is fantastic. Like, that's good and this is great. Because not only do you get, him, not only do you get Peter Parker in his room talking to Tony Stark, acting like a 17-year-old kid.
That's the biggest thing of this, though, is he acts like a kid. He sees all these superheroes. He's like, oh my God, how he's talking to Falcon. He's like, what are those, titanium? He's like, we're supposed to be fighting here, kid.
He's like, usually when you fight, you don't talk this much. He's like, oh, right, sorry. Like, he totally, and this is the thing that I think the essence of that you capture in the movie when it comes to him that you don't get anywhere, that you get in the comic books, but you haven't gotten anywhere else, is that in that fight scene, you get the sense that he has no idea what he's doing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he said early on he's only been doing this for 6 months.
Yeah, and he's completely overwhelmed.
Which makes sense. He's a 17-year-old kid.
Yeah, of course he would be. He's a 17-year-old. Of course he'd be overwhelmed by fucking people throwing shields and shooting beams out of their eyes and all this other crazy ass shit. But even though all that's going on, he still manages to keep it together. And
he's a badass character. I mean, you can tell he's got some power in this because he held his own.
Yeah, exactly. He totally held his own. And it didn't seem like forced.
Yeah. And is it Tom Holland? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Perfect casting for that character. I think that's like the Spider-Man Homecoming. Like, I think that's going to be a really good movie.
I really do too. If we're going to talk about movies that I got pumped, that I really want to see after this, like I was kind of about Homecoming, but now I'm like, I'll put that movie out now. Like, you should have already had that movie done and put it out the very next day.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, this little bit of Spider-Man is a free commercial for Spider-Man Homecoming.
Oh, and I'm fucking buying.
Oh, and I love the fact that I know some people have mentioned like Homecoming, like, oh, they're going to do like a homecoming party for high school. It's like, I'm seeing it more as like, this is Spider-Man's homecoming to Marvel. Oh, he's coming back to Marvel.
I'm clapping on that one because that's what I have been telling people. I'm like, people are like, oh, it's like a homecoming dance. I'm like, no, man. I'm like,
yeah,
he's coming back to where he fucking belongs.
I've heard nobody say that. Everybody's always like, "Oh, it's because he's in high school. It's going to be a homecoming party." It's like, no, he's coming home to Marvel.
He's coming home to Marvel. And I mean, can you not picture like Kevin Feige? Okay, so Kevin Feige, the head of development of Marvel, he's spent the last 20 years of his life watching fucking Spider-Man movies, going, well, why'd they do that? Why'd they do that? Why are all these people seeing his face? There's a train car full of people. They know what he looks like now. Why is he taking his mask off all the time? Where's his web shooters? Like 20 years of Kevin Feige sitting in a fucking theater going, I swear to God, if I ever made a fucking Spider-Man movie. And finally, they work out this deal with Sony. Disney works out this deal with Sony. And the president of Disney goes up, Alan Horn, walks into the room to Kevin Feige and says, hey, so we're able to put Spider-Man into Civil War. What do you think we should do? And Kevin Feige, I'm sure, is just sitting there like fucking rubbing his hands together. Like, I've been waiting 20 years for this.
No, but I mean, yeah, I see that there. Because again, like you said, he's seen all this crap go on. Because did you like The Amazing Spider-Man, the first one?
I liked it more than I thought I would. Okay. So that was Amazing Spider-Man. I liked it more than I thought I would. I like the fact that he was a bit more wisecracky. I like the fact that he built web shooters and had those. I liked all that. And I was actually kind of pumped after that. I'm like, hey, this is a lot. This is a Spider-Man that I can get behind. A lot, this is, I mean, and don't get me wrong, I was, kind of behind. I was behind, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies too, until the third one. But
yeah, the second one. Oh yeah, you got emo dancing Spider-Man. Who doesn't love that?
Okay, so take that. Amazing Spider-Man, I felt was after Spider-Man 3, I felt like Amazing Spider-Man was a palate cleanser. Like I got that. I'm like, okay. I'm like, I feel like they're kind of taking this a bit more seriously now. Like that's good. And I watched Amazing Spider-Man 2, and that to me, I didn't like. Like I felt like they took the character too seriously. He's wrestling with this whole conflict about Gwen Stacy's dad, and then they I felt like they were stuffing villains into the movie.
Yeah.
I was not a fan of Amazing Spider-Man 2. And so so then we go from that to 25 minutes, because he's in there for probably 20 minutes. We go from a movie to 25 minutes in another movie, and then I'm just like, oh my God, that's what I wanted. Why didn't they do this 6 movies ago?
Well, I mean, that's what happens when you give it to the Marvel group. They can definitely handle that.
Yeah, and I've read that when it comes to the Spider-Man Homecoming, I've heard that Feige has, originally it was this partnership between Sony and Marvel, and from what I understand, when it comes to the creative control over this Spider-Man movie, it's all Marvel.
Good. Yeah, that's going to work out well. Because if you let Sony get involved with that, it's just too many cooks in the kitchen.
Well, and I think there was probably a Sony executive that watched Civil War and watched other people watch Civil War and go, maybe we should let them do it.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll still get paid. Like, we still get money for it. So why let them do it? And then if they make more money, then we should make more money.
They're like, listen, we can do one of these movies pretty well. Like, people like the first one. We fuck up the rest. So just let them start out with it.
But yeah, I think Sony is sitting there going, we own the property. If they make if we make a Spider-Man movie and it's good, we make some money. If they make a Spider-Man movie and it's fantastic, then even though we're getting just a chunk of it, we'll probably get a really decent chunk.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'm like, from what I understand, Sony is very hands off in terms of the creative aspects of the movie. And I'm I'm totally for it. I'm sold. Like that made me pumped for a but and I mean, and it's sad to say that I mean, I think if we're going to talk about a downside to any Marvel movie is that a Marvel movie always seems like a commercial for the next one.
Yeah, to an extent.
But I you know, I must be an unwitting dupe because they got me. Because I walked out of the theater going, I want to see a Spider-Man movie. I want to see a Black Panther movie.
Yeah, I'm pumped for the Black Panther, and they're doing a solo Black Panther movie, aren't they?
Yeah. They picked up Ryan Coogler to direct, which is the same guy that did Creed.
From Creed, yeah.
Yeah.
You do realize that with Creed, those guys wrote basically like an ideal like script, showed it to whoever they needed to show it to, like, oh, okay, well, make your Creed movie. We like your script, make it.
Yeah. It was a fanfic.
Yeah, basically.
Like isn't that every fan's ultimate dream?
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
that was Ryan Coogler and I don't remember who helped him with the script, but they're like, man, if we got to do a Rocky movie, let's do a Rocky movie like this. Like this would be our fan dream Rocky movie. And they wrote it and the right people saw it. And then Sylvester Stallone is like, yeah, why don't you make this?
Now he gets to do Black Panther.
And they made it and it was fucking great.
That's yeah, like you said, that's every person's dream that sits at a computer to write a script or something. Like, I think the only thing under his belt is like a short film he did, and then he got to do Creed, which was like thought of as one of the best movies of the year, which I haven't seen, but everybody that's seen it says it's great.
Yeah, oh, you haven't seen it?
Not yet. I haven't had a chance to watch any movies lately.
Here's a thing with it, and I think if when you see it, I think you'll agree with me. Stallone got a nomination for Best Supporting Actor for this movie. I think he should have got it. Like that in terms of if we're talking about a supporting role where it doesn't completely outshine the star, like it does what a supporting role is supposed to do. I mean, I feel like he earned it. And this is an actor who's playing a character that was nominated for Best Actor 20 years ago, 20 years before for the same fucking role.
So you talk about you want to see a Black Panther movie, you want to see a Spider-Man movie. So you want to know what movie I think we need to get out of this Marvel universe, and maybe that's the fanfic we can create.
Okay.
I want to see
all ears.
A road comedy with the Falcon and Bucky. Those two go on a road trip, and it's just a comedy movie. That's what I want to see. The two best lines that those guys had. So after he blows up Spider-Man, he kind of uses his Red Hawk to blow him up.
Yeah.
Bucky's like, you couldn't have done that sooner, as they're both, tied down with web. And Falcon just says, I hate you. And the other line that got me, so they're sitting in this bug, right? So they've escaped.
Oh, the VW bug.
Yeah, and they meet up with I can't remember what her name was. One of the government ladies. She's got all their equipment.
It's Agent Carter's granddaughter,
niece. I think it's her niece.
Yeah, niece.
And Captain America pulls up. She's like, "Oh, I guess something or another." He's like, "Well, it's small and conspicuous. Nobody will think." And they flash back to those two in there, and you just hear Bucky say, "Okay, can you move up your seat a little bit?" And Falcon's like, "No."
And then they kiss and they look over, and the two of them are just looking at him like,
yeah.
Get it, boy.
We can wait a little longer. Get you some. But I just imagine a road comedy with those guys going, basically like a superhero Dumb and Dumber. you just hear Bucky go, mock, and Falcon's like, no.
Yeah.
Mock. Yeah. No. Ing. No. Yeah. Bird. No. Mockingbird.
And they're just driving around in a VW bug and getting people out of jams.
Yeah, well, maybe they fight like the really bad villains, like not bad, like in like real bad, but just like the crappy villains.
I am the Underminer. I'd be down. I could watch that. I could watch a.
Well, and I mean, you get with that group. I mean, okay, so this is kind of silliness territory, but like if you walked in, like if Feige walked in and said, "Listen, I want to make a Falcon Bucky road comedy. Like that makes no sense. How's that fit in this universe?
And then
All
he's
right.
like, "I'm Kevin Feige. Have I
Yeah.
done anything bad yet?" And they're like, "Well, I guess
He's
not."
like, this is the road trip of Falcon taking Bucky to the airport to go to Wakanda. That's what we're doing here. And it's just them like a day or two trip, going down the road. Little wackiness ensues. They fight some, one-off villains.
Yeah, there's like a musical interlude where they're like at the beach.
Yeah.
Getting each other ice cream and putting them on their noses.
That's awesome. But I mean, like Feige, you think he could walk in and like you'd see this and everybody be like, all right, this is the one they fail at. This is the one they're going to screw up.
And then you watch it and you're like, son of a bitch.
Yeah, this is fucking hilarious. I think you'd have to have Hawkeye in there somewhere because I think Hawkeye's had a few good comedic moments.
Yeah, I think when it came to the first 2 Avengers movies, I feel like, especially in the second one, Hawkeye, I think, was the grounding force for everybody. It kind of gave the audience that sense of relatableness. Like, hey, that's who. If I could be anybody in this, I would be Hawkeye, because you're the guy that I think that he's the one that the audience most identifies with, because he's the one that doesn't have any fucking powers.
So I have a quick question, and I don't know if it's unwarranted or not, but Hawkeye kind of shows up out of nowhere, right?
Right.
He's like somehow got word that this is happening. They say something about like him, like he has a family. Why is he here?
Yeah.
And he doesn't really respond to that. Do you think something's happened to his family?
I don't know. I hadn't even entertained the possibility.
Because there's a quick one line where they say something about like, "Oh, I thought you were retired. Shouldn't you be with your family?" And he doesn't really respond to that at all. And then when he's in prison, he gets pretty defensive towards Tony. So, and again, this might just be me reading way too much into this, but it kind of feels like something's happened to his family.
Yeah, I honestly don't know.
I didn't know if maybe I just caught that and there's nothing there, but
he kind of gets he gets his moments in. And if we're going to talk about heroes getting their moments, I think we have not yet mentioned Ant-Man.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah. The whole scene of him getting in Iron Man's suit was just amazing.
Yes.
It's like, what's going on? He's like, this is your conscience. We don't talk much, but
your conscience. Who's speaking? And then, of course, like, that moment I laughed at. Like, I was like, okay, so this is what he's gonna be. He's gonna be the Spider-Man for Team Cap, where he kind of cracks a little wise and and kind of makes it fun and makes the audience laugh. But then he's like, I'm gonna try. He has the bit with the truck that I laughed.
Oh yeah, I laughed at. Yeah. Oh shit, I thought that was a water truck.
Oh, sorry. But then I think the moment that, if you're still listening to this, I mean, obviously you have to have seen the movie. If not, like, what the fuck are you doing listening to this? But that moment that we need to talk about, where he's running, he's like, I'm gonna try something. You ever done it before? All the time. Once.
In a lab.
And I passed out. We get Ant-Man doing the only power that I was saying to myself, I thought he could. Oh, we didn't get it till the next movie.
We get Ant-Man. Is that what they call him?
Is that what we're calling him?
I thought that's what he's called. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know. It seems to fit.
I was like, that happened, and I clapped. I did. I'm in the theater. I was like, woo!
I guess the only thing we really haven't touched on is Black Widow. I feel like she was kind of playing the double agent the whole time, but the scene that I thought was really good is when Black Panther's trying to get a hold of Bucky as they're getting away.
Yeah.
And you see she's like, okay, well, I'm going to let you go. I'm going to help you get away, Cap and Bucky, because I trust you or whatever.
Yeah.
And she's shocking the shit out of Black Panther, but he's got so much anger and vengeance on his mind that he's fighting through this and almost gets to the ship.
Almost. He gets a claw on it.
And I hope that, the end scene there is where he saves that guy from killing himself. And I wonder if that's going to play much into the Black Panther mythos and the Black Panther movie. Because I don't know much about Black Panther. I mean, all I know is from what I've seen from this movie.
I mean, I know a little bit. I mean, okay, if we're talking about origin stories, I mean, Black Panther has an origin story. You didn't get that at all in this movie. I mean, you got the sense that T'Challa had been the Black Panther for a while. Like, that's not the first time he's putting that suit on. Like, that's how I took it. But in this movie, not only is he that, but he's also the king of a country now.
Yeah.
And he's king of a country that I would say has very advanced, if not the most advanced technology in the world.
Because they have so much money from the vibranium, right?
Well, I think it's a combination of that and very smart engineers in their country.
And I think there's a lot, like, they gloss over a lot of the Black Panther-ness because, when he goes to say, like, there's a good, like, relationship between his dad and him.
Yeah.
And then when he tries to save him, you see that anger on his face. He's like, I can't remember how he said it. Basically, the fact that don't worry about trying to find this guy because I'm going to kill him.
Yeah. You're talking about, this is a guy who's the king of a country. He wears a suit made out of vibranium. It seems like he's got some very enhanced strength.
Well, and that's from my understanding, that's when he I don't know if what they're doing in the movie, but in the comic, I think like he eats some kind of plant or something that's only in their country.
Yeah, it's basically it's like in the movie, I think they call it the warrior spirit, but I don't remember how it is in the comic books. But I mean, he's basically like, I would say Cap strong.
Oh, if not a little bit stronger.
Yeah. So you're talking super strong, decently smart, and king of a country, and you're like, what does this guy not do?
I mean, he's got. I think I've read somewhere that he has more money than like Tony Stark. Like, isn't he one of the top, like, in the money situation of Marvel? Like, he's like number 1 or 2.
Yeah, I think so. So yeah, I mean, seeing all that, I want to see what a movie with him's like. I want to see what they put up against him to make it a threat. Like, what's gonna be a challenge for this guy? That has me pretty pumped for Black Panther movie. I think it's that more than anything. It's not so much that I want to see, Black Panther. I mean, I'll watch fucking Black Panther fight anything. I'll watch him fight small children. If you put it up on screen, just him like just punching kids in the face. I'm like, look at him, he's in that suit. Woo!
This is the one they mess up with. Well, no, it makes total sense why he punched those kids.
I mean, it still looks phenomenal.
Spoiler alert, they're Hydra agents.
But I want to see what the conflict and the adversary they come up with that's going to go toe to toe with this guy. Because I'm watching that movie and I don't think Cap could have taken him down by himself. And I don't think Winter Soldier could have taken him down by himself.
And I love that you see the scratches in his shield the rest of the movie. That was so badass.
And then he drops it. Cap just drops it. And you see those scratches on there.
Well, I guess on that, Richard, is there anything else you want to touch on, or are you ready to kind of share your closing thoughts on this flick?
We didn't really make a lot of comparisons to Batman and v Superman. I mean, there was a few. But I think one of the biggest contrasts between the two is that with Captain America Civil War, everything I feel like in that movie is earned. When it comes to the initial conflict between Steve and Tony, you buy it. You're like, okay, it's just a difference of philosophies. And then it just ramps up and comes to blows at one point, where it seems like they're not really trying to kill each other, but you're like, okay. And that, even at that point, it's still earned because, he's trying to get Bucky and Cap's trying to protect Bucky and you're still totally buying it. But then we get to the last fight where you can tell like they're out for blood. Still totally earned. I felt like when you get to that point where the proverbial gloves have come off, it's earned. With Batman v Superman, I understand why they start fighting. I don't understand why they stop.
Yeah, that makes sense.
With Civil War, I understand why they start fighting, and I understand why the movie ends the way it ends. I think that the biggest difference is the way these two movies end. Batman v Superman ends with Bruce basically going, Superman, he's my super friend, and it seems like they try to put some sort of realism into it. They try to make that movie real. But I think that Civil War does a much better job of making it real, because they basically come to the conclusion like, yeah, like this shit's fucked and things are fundamentally different, and there's no magic thing, there's no magic bullet, there's no magic pill to make everything all better again. Things have changed, and that will have consequences from here on out. I think that's it. That's the thing, is the sense of consequence. We've gone through, I don't know, I can't even remember how many movies to get to this point where things have been building and building on top of each other, and now things have changed, and that the movies that come after this are going to feel the effect of this film. Like, I guess that's what I'm saying by sense of consequence.
Yeah, it definitely sets up for some interesting plot points in the future movies.
Right.
Because it did not end like on a happy note at all.
No, it did not. It ended on a note that I felt like it should have ended. I feel like it ended on a note that it was believable that it ended on. So, yeah, I'll watch it again. Maybe a third time. Nah, probably not a third time. I'll probably see it again in theaters, but I'm sure I'll see it in the future down the road. But all in all, like, Marvel once again fucking hit the mark, and I'm just sitting here wondering, waiting, like, you're just sitting. Law of averages dictates that eventually we're gonna get a not so great Marvel movie, right? Because I haven't caught it yet.
It's got to be a phase 4, like, right? Yes, whenever they decide like they can't have Iron Man or Cap or Thor or any of their main characters.
Well, we thought that was going to be the case with Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah,
you remember that? Yeah, you remember when we were like, okay, this is going to be the one. Like, law of averages dictates we're going to get a bad Marvel movie, and this one's going to be it. And then we both watched it, and we're like, son of a bitch.
All right, well, I will go ahead and wrap this puppy up with a little bit of superhero housekeeping.
Oh, with a super broom and super dustpan.
What's so super about it? It's got a lifetime warranty.
Yeah, I think that's pretty super.
Visit our website. We're at languageofbromance.com. Follow us on Twitter. We're at languageofbro. Email us at eatthebeaver@languageofbromance.com. Like us on Facebook and subscribe and leave a review on Google Play Music, iTunes, and Stitcher.
And don't forget to check us out on the Pod Bros Network,
where there is no Civil War, because we're always friends. We're the League of Friends there, I believe.
But if we did, Team Bro
would win.
Yeah.
But if there was a Civil War, would you and I have to go against each other?
No, it'd be like podcast versus podcast.
Oh, okay, yeah. I think we're kind of like we're the Cap and Falcon kind of combination. There's nothing that can be between us.
Oh, that's perfect. You nailed it on the head.
And if you want to become a officer in the Language of Bromance Army, the LOB Army,
if you want to be our Redbird,
if you want to be our Redbird, go to Patreon. It's www.patreon.com/languageofbromance, and you can become one of our officers.
Which, I mean,
is super in itself, really.
It is. It is. If you're sitting there in your room or in your house or in your office or in your car going, I wish I could find something where I could, just do very little and have a great sense of accomplishment.
And a great title.
Here it is. We just laid it out for you. Little bit of effort, huge sense of accomplishment. You do this little thing and you get a gigantic reward and a rank. We'll even let you put it on business cards.
Oh, hell yeah, you can.
Yeah.
And it's literally less than like a cup of coffee a day.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to change your mail so it says like your rank, you're totally fine. We'll vouch for it.
I'm fine with that. All right, well, anything else before I close her out?
No. Everybody go change your mail.
All right, well, that's all the bromance we have for this show. I'm Shawn.
And I'm Richard.
And I say we eat the beaver. I've got a package for Tony Stank, LOB Army General.
I'm using that from here on out.
Tony Stank.